Hi, this is Mato. In this video I will show you a game between Wesley So and Hikaru Nakamura. This is a game from Sinquefield Cup, played in St. Louis, United States in 2016. Wesley So had white pieces and he started with d4. Hikaru Nakamura played knight to f6, c4, e6, knight to f3, d5 and now g3. Catalan opening. Bishop to e7, bishop to g2 and both players castle at king's side. Black to move. D takes on c4, which is the most played move in this position. c6 and knight from b to d7 are popular alternative moves. We have d takes on c4. Queen to c2 is the most played move. Knight to e5 was played, which is also very popular. Black to move. Knight to c6 was played. Sometimes black plays c5. This is quite often played move. And then one line goes like this. D takes on c5, bishop takes on c5, knight takes on c4, knight to c6, knight to c3, queen to e7, bishop takes knight on c6, b takes on c6. White has a better pawn structure, but maybe missing his light square bishop. Hikaru Nakamura played knight to c6. White to move. How would you continue? Knight takes knight on c6, knight takes pawn on c4, bishop takes knight on c6. Wesley So played knight takes knight on c6. If knight takes on c4, then queen takes on d4. This is good for black. Well, bishop takes knight on c6 is definitely possible, and after pawn takes, knight takes on c6, and then after queen to e8, knight may capture the bishop. But it seems that Wesley So likes his light square bishop and doesn't want to exchange it for the knight. So we have knight takes knight, pawn takes knight, knight to a3. This is not a weird move. This is the most popular move in this position. If bishop takes on c6, rook to b8, knight to c3, bishop to b7, bishop takes bishop, rook takes bishop, and black is holding his ground. So we have knight to a3, bishop takes on a3. This is also the most played move. Pawn takes bishop. 10 moves have been played. Who is better? Black is better, materially, 1 pawn. White has a better pawn structure, 2 pawn islands, and black has 3 pawn islands. White has a bishop pair. Additionally, black pawns on c file may be an easy target. Maybe. Definitely maybe. Black to move. Knight to d5 is the most played move. Hikaru Nakamura played bishop to a6, defending the pawn on c4. This is also the choice of a silicon advisor. This may be telling us that Nakamura is familiar with the position. Queen to d2, intending queen to a5. Rook to b8, queen to a5, queen to c8, defending the bishop, intending rook to b5. For example, if bishop to g5, rook to b5. Wesley So played a4, preventing rook b5. Rook to d8, attacking the pawn on d4, and this is a very interesting moment of the game. You would expect something like e3, defending the pawn. Wesley So played bishop to a3. This is definitely a very interesting move, allowing black to capture the pawn on d4 and to be 2 pawns up. Why? Well, let's have a look what happens if e3 is played. If e3, then c5, queen takes on c5, knight to d7 attacking the queen, queen to a5, c5, freeing the game. Black is okay. So bishop to a3, preventing c5 at the cost of a pawn. Rook takes on d4. White to move. What would you do in this position if you had white pieces? I think most people would grab the pawn on c6. Do you agree? Or maybe bishop to c5. Wesley so played an interesting move. Rook from f to b1. Rook to b6. If rook takes on b1, rook takes on b1, this position was not to Nakamura's liking. He played rook to b6, allowing bishop to c5. And this is the move played in the game. Rook to d7, rook to d1. Perhaps Nakamura was expecting something like this. Bishop takes on b6, a takes on b6, queen to e5, knight to d5, and this position is more fun for black to play. Instead we have rook to d1, h6, to avoid back rank problems, but probably missing the strongest move. The strongest move is knight to d5. So we have h6, rook takes rook, knight takes rook. Now bishop takes on b6, c takes on b6. Wesley saw planned for the endgame, where queens will be exchanged, and his rook and bishop would prevail over Nakamura's bishop and knight. Queen to d2 intending rook to d1. c5. If knight to c5, one line goes like this. Rook to d1. Knight takes on a4. Queens are exchanged. This is check. King to h7. King to f1. Knight to c3. Rook to d7. Position 5 was white. c5 was played. Rook to d1 as planned. Knight to f6. And now king to f1. This very deep move, preparing for the endgame. King to h7, queen to c2 check, king to g8, queen to d2, king to h7. White can have a draw by repetition. Instead, Wesley so bravely continued, going for a full point. Queen to d8, queen takes queen, rook takes queen, c3, king to e1. See how important it was to have white king on f1. Bishop to c4. If c2, king to d2, bishop takes on e2, and white solves the biggest problem. So we have bishop to c4. King to d1, bishop takes on a2, king to c2, bishop to c4. No rush to take the pawn, taking care of pawn on e file, b5, king to c3, a6 if b takes on a4, king takes bishop, a6, rook to a8, knight to d5 check, to move the king or to capture the knight. The best move is bishop takes knight. This is the move played in the game. E takes on d5, a5, b4, check, defending the pawn on a6. King to d2, position is now lost for black, whatever he does. Bishop to f1, rook to c8, attacking the pawn on c file, c4, rook to b8, attacking the pawn on b file, b3, white played a move and black resigned. The move is king to c3, black resigned. Let's play a few more moves. Bishop to d3, rook to d8, bishop to e4, defending the pawn, rook to d6, attacking the pawn on a6. It looks like that pawn will die and white pawn will promote to queen. And if black tries to play for tricks, then simply rook takes on d5. And I guess we can stop here. What do you think of this game?